Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Hermoso.
Present.
Councilmember Manalo.
Present.
Councilmember Here.
Present.
Councilmember Dodge.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, so good evening. I want to thank you all for coming out. Tonight is our official town hall meeting, and this is an opportunity for us to gather together. We are here to answer questions and have a conversation about the things in our city that we are going through. On behalf of my city council colleagues and myself, our senior staff, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to engage in this dialogue regarding our current and future status of our wonderful city. As most of you know, our city is very small. We're about 18,000 people in 1.7 square miles. So we have a commitment to listening and engaging with our residences and our businesses. We've held town hall meetings before, and this is the first one in many years, so we're excited to be here, and we're looking forward to a good conversation. This evening, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions and communicate with us about our city. We all live in the city, so we are all neighbors at some point. I'm sure we've driven down each other's streets. We've shopped in each other's favorite stores and eaten at each other's favorite restaurants. So this is our community, this is our town. And tonight you'll be able to direct questions and comments directly to city staff, to the council, and such. And council members and to city staff, each of the operational departments will be able to give a couple of minutes on what they do and how they operate before questions. And before addressing the council and staff, we'd ask you to fill out a speaker card, please, so we can track who is here and possibly follow up if needed. Speakers will be asked to line up behind the microphone and wait for your turn to speak. There is a 3-minute rule, and we will do our best to adhere to that. City council members and staff will also do their best to answer questions and address your concerns. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our city manager, Abel Avalos, who will give us some more introductions and a little bit of a brief intro as to what's going to happen next. And we'll move down on to that portion. So, City Manager Avalos.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and to residents and friends of the City of Artesia. This evening we'll be conducting a town hall, as the Mayor just described. And I do want to make sure that as part of this town hall that we have an opportunity for each of our department heads to introduce themselves to the community, briefly talk about some of the things that they do, what they're responsible for. Sometimes people maybe aren't clear as to who's responsible for what exactly, so we'll be talking about that. And first of all, I'm going to start it off by handing it over to our Deputy City Manager, Melissa Burke. Now, in addition to going through the various functions that Administrative Services goes over, Melissa will also walk us through, up on the screen in front, we have flash vote survey results, and I'll let Melissa walk us through what that is. It's something that we're really excited about for the community in general, and it's yet another opportunity for us to get feedback and commentary from the public at large. So with that, I'll turn it over to Melissa Burke, and then we'll march on down the line and let everybody introduce themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Burke. I'm the Deputy City Manager, and I oversee the Administrative Services Department, which is a department that provides general governmental support functions to the public, the City Council, and other city departments. Some of the primary functions of our department are reviewing city agreements, City Council agenda reports, and making programmatic recommendations. We also oversee the Public Safety Division, including managing the Los Angeles County Sheriff's contract. city. We prepare and oversee the issuance of requests for proposals for professional services. We apply for and manage grants. We oversee the economic development activities of the city. We implement the city's legislative platform. And we also handle the public information and community outreach, which includes the quarterly Artesian, the annual report, the monthly e-newsletters, our social media, and our newest program, the Flash Vote program. Danielle, can you change the slide? Thank you. So on the screen, on the other side of the room, we wanted to share the first survey that we did with our Flash Vote program. The Flash Vote program is just another way for us to gather resident input on relevant topics. When residents register, they're given the option to participate in short surveys via email, text, or phone. The surveys themselves only take about a minute to complete and are available for 48 hours at a time. And that means results are quickly delivered to participants thereafter. The results are completely anonymous, and the city does not receive any information about who has taken the survey or who has registered. We only receive the aggregate results. Our first survey on the topic of community priorities took place February 4th through 6th, and of our 145 registered residents, we saw participation from 56 individuals. I'm hoping everyone here tonight will sign up for this program. The results were released to all those who took the survey, and so we're going to share the results publicly with all of you. Our first question asked whether people think things in Artesia are generally headed in the right direction, if they're on the wrong track, or if they were unsure and didn't feel strongly either way. I'm happy to report that 45% of the respondents feel that we're headed in the right direction, while the remainder are almost evenly split, with 29% not feeling strongly either way, and 27% feeling we're on the wrong track. While the survey sample is small, these results show positively that residents are not opposed to the direction of the city. Our next question is about our strengths as a city. The overwhelming sentiment was that our recreational amenities and sense of community are a strong point for the city, followed by the availability of businesses and services, as well as our public safety presence. Some of the other responses included our roadways, especially Pioneer Boulevard, diversity, and the walkability of the city. The next question concerned what residents felt was most important to them. Physical safety and security you can see as a standout response, with other options such as amenities, programs, and services being split across the board. Input offered by respondents added street and road infrastructure, clean neighborhoods, park availability, street parking in residential areas, and economic development opportunities. The next question, we asked people to envision the city 5 years from now and tell us what upcoming challenges will be. Roads and street maintenance is the clear concern for the majority, with public safety, homelessness, and housing not far behind. Overall, community appearance and traffic congestion were also concerned, though not as pressing, and jobs and economy came in as the least concerning. Other responses included that the city be business-friendly, housing and health rehabilitation services, parking, and decisions that reflect the interest of the Artesia residents. In response to the last point, we want to share that the City Council and City staff take every effort possible to gather as much input from the entire community as possible before making major decisions that impact everyone. We know that community meetings can be challenging to balance between work and life activities, which is why we employed Flash Vote to conduct additional outreach measures to hear from the broader community. Our last question solicited comments or suggestions about the community priorities or future quality of life in Artesia. Responses reaffirmed the answers from previous questions and offered additional suggestions, such as facilitating the pride of ownership, whether whether business or residential, enhancing road safety and street maintenance efforts, seeking solutions for overcrowded street parking, fostering economic development by attracting new businesses and amenities for families to enjoy, while being business friendly towards those who are already established. Continuing to connect homeowners to financial resources as they are available, making the city safe for pedestrians and cyclists, discouraging illegal dumping and littering, creating more opportunities to gather as a community, and prioritizing resident-focused planning and communication. As you just saw, Flash Vote is a quick, easy way to provide input to the city. We strongly encourage everyone to register so the city council can hear directly from you. We have a few more surveys slated this year, and we hope that you will sign up to be notified of their release and participate in this survey so that we can hear from you. And you can scan the QR code. We'll leave that up for the remainder of the meeting so that you can sign up for our program. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul Boilier, our Community Development Director.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. As she said, my name is Paul Boyer, Community Development Director. My duties involve overseeing and managing the Building and Safety Department, the Planning Department, Code Enforcement, and Parking. So I'll go ahead and do a quick summary of what that means so you get a better understanding. Planning and building each have their own functions. Planning, in short, determines what is built and where in the city. Building ensures how it meets the safety codes and for your safety as well as anyone who visits. Planning department responsibilities maintain and implement the city's general plan and zoning code. They review process discretionary permits like variance permits, conditional use permits, zoning changes, zoning text amendments, site plan and design reviews. These are all for business and residential. We prepare staff reports, recommendation for the Planning Commission and City Council, conduct environmental reviews for CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act. We ensure compliance with the state housing laws, specifically density bonus, ADUs, JADUs, housing implementation, coordinate with Public Works, Fire, and emergency service such as the Sheriff's Department is needed. We align with the city policy, zoning regulations, and state law. Building, on the other hand, we deal, like I said, we deal with the safety aspects of it when the project's being built and how it is managed. The applicants, such as yourself, can submit on the OpenGov system that we now have that allows you to do it from your own house now or your business. That rolled out in early December with a soft opening, and that will be going live citywide here shortly. They review construction plans for compliance in regards to California Building and Safety Code as required by the state. Issue building, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, and structural permits. Conduct inspections at key strategy, starting out foundation, framing, electrical, plumbing, through final inspection. Enforce safety and structural standards throughout the process. Issue certificates of occupancy after building and safety and planning do their final walkthrough and ensure everything that was on the plans is built correctly. Making sure that every building and project that is constructed safely and meets all technical aspects of it. So in closing, planning approves the entitlement and the land use conditions, and building verifies structural integrity and life safety compliance. Together, both departments ensure Artesia is lawful, safe, and consistent with the city's adopted vision. Code enforcement is a proactive enforcement, complaint-driven department. We have a 7-day coverage, and we have an officer on the streets and out in the city. We manage building and property maintenance violations. We're focused on health, safety, and welfare for the community, and action taken by code enforcement to ensure that is met. We have a homeless outreach services management program that we work closely with the Sheriff's Department. We manage a vacant property ordinance throughout the city, both vacant properties and vacant properties with structures. We have business license management. And these are just short summaries of what we're doing in each department. Lastly, I'll close it out with parking enforcement. Again, we do have coverage 7 days a week. We're responsible for complaints received by the public and by any vehicle violations seen as they're doing their normal patrol in the city. We manage the street sweeping, parking violations, which helps us keep our gutters clean, that keeps our storm drains clean, because at the end of the year, the city gets managed on the waste that goes down into the storm drains, and it helps us ensuring that the vehicles are cleared and that the street cleaners can get in there and clean those out, so that when the next rain or anything, somebody washing down the driveway doesn't get trash and oils into the storm drain system. So in closing, that's what I have to say for myself, and then I'll pass it off to Edith here, and she's in charge of Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and Artesia residents. My name is Edith Gavin. I'm the Parks and Recreation Manager for the City of Artesia. I'd like to share a bit of what our department does and how our work here directly supports the needs and priorities of our residents. At its core, Parks and Rec exists to enhance the quality of life in the City of Artesia. We provide safe and welcoming spaces where families can gather, children can play, seniors can connect, and neighbors can build relationships. Everything we do is centered on supporting community, health and wellness, and social connections. Major responsibility of our department is to maintain our parks and facilities. We oversee the city's parks, playgrounds, and community centers, ensuring that they're well maintained and safe. Residents have consistently expressed to us that park availability and clean neighborhoods are important to them, so our efforts are a direct response to those priorities. We also offer a wide range of recreational programs, including youth sports leagues, seasonal camps and after-school programs, senior programs and activities, and facility rentals. Whether it's registering your child in our karate or dance programs, renting a portion of our community center for a family event, participating in our senior lunch program, or signing up for Dial-A-Ride, there's something for everyone in Parks and Recreation. We pride ourselves in providing a wide range of recreational opportunities for all ages, along with cultural and educational activities that reflect Artesia's diversity. In addition, Parks and Recreation organizes all the community events in the city that bring our residents together. From holiday celebrations to our street fair and mariachi festivals, our events foster civic pride and reflect the spirit of our great city. Community feedback has indicated a desire for more community events, and we view that as an opportunity to continue expanding experiences that unite residents and celebrate the city of Artesia. While the Parks and Rec Department may be most visible through parks and events, our broader mission is to serve our residents. We aim to create spaces and programs that reflect resident priorities, encourage pride in our city, and contribute to vibrant and healthy communities. As we move forward, we remain committed to maintaining high standards, listening to our residents, and continually improving the programs, events, and services that the department provides. Parks and Rec isn't just about facilities or events, it's about building community and enhancing everyday life in Artesia. With that, I will pass it off to Ernesto Sanchez. He is our Public Works Manager.
Thank you, Edith. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and members of the public. My name is Ernesto Sanchez. I'm the Public Works Manager for the City of Artesia. The Public Works Department operates, maintains, and enhances the city's public infrastructure and the transportation systems. One of the most important functions of the department is to repair, repave, and maintain 41 center miles public roadway in the city. Part of this function also means installing and repairing traffic striping and street signs, weekly solid waste disposal, and repairing sidewalks and curbs and gutters. The department helps to manage traffic by determining and updating speed limits every 5 years and maintaining 26 traffic signals throughout the city. The department also maintains approximately 2,400 street and park trees. The trees are on a 3-year trim cycle, but some trees require more frequent maintenance, so members of the public can always request an off-cycle trimming at any time. Another function of the department is the general upkeep of the city. This would include addressing graffiti and illegal dumping on city facilities and the public right-of-way. I'd like to note that the Public Works Department is able to assist with graffiti removal on private property as well, and we do have the ability to color match. So residents and business owners looking to utilize this service can reach out to City Hall to get more information on that. And finally, another function of the department is preparing for and responding to winter storms. So this week, our department provided sandbags to the public. We unclogged storm drains, cleared curbs and gutters to allow stormwater to flow, picked up fallen trees and branches, and patched potholes throughout the city. So I'll end my brief presentation with a reminder that residents can report any and all maintenance issues through the city's website or by calling City Hall at any time. Thank you. I'll pass it to the Finance Department.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Council, and residents. My name is Jenny Murguia. I'm the Finance Manager and City Treasurer for the City of Artesia. I oversee the Finance Department, which consists of a couple different divisions and also some management at the Artesia Town Center. Within the Finance Department, we have 5 employees, myself, an accounting manager, a senior accountant, an accounting tech, and 1 administrative analyst. So the 5 of us run the Finance Department. Within finance and accounting, we do accounts payable, so just ensuring that our vendors and our utilities and our contracts are always paid on time. Accounts receivable, which consists of receiving all of the city's revenue, whether that's fines and fees, tax revenue, and also any grant revenue or reimbursement. We also do payroll, which is probably our employees' favorite part of our function, our department. So just ensuring that our employees, full-time and part-time, are paid on a bi-weekly basis and on time. I oversee all of the city's audits, so everything from our annual audit, which leads to our annual comprehensive financial report, or ACFR, the state controller's report, which goes to the state controller every January, our metro audit, gas tax, things of that nature. We also administer the city's budget. That consists of preparing the budget for adoption before July 1st of each year, tracking budget revenue and expenses throughout the year, ensuring that our various departments have the resources that they need to provide services to our residents and to our business owners. And then also, once a year, we prepare a mid-year budget adjustment, which we just actually took to council last month. In addition, we administer all of our local return funds, so some of what Ernesto and Edith spoke about, our Prop A funds fund our transportation projects throughout the city, our Prop C funds fund our median maintenance and traffic signal maintenance, and so we just administer that in finance and just make sure that our colleagues have the resources they need. I also oversee the administration of the city's successor agency, which was formerly known as redevelopment, and the city's streetlight maintenance district, which is the tax levy for all of the streetlights, both residential and commercial throughout the city. And then within finance, in addition to just finance and accounting, I also oversee the business license division. We do contract out the main part of our administration to HDL. But at the beginning of this fiscal year, we hired an additional person to facilitate just having a person within the community to touch base with our businesses and help facilitate those applications. So that's our administrative analyst. I also oversee the city's IT contract, as well as the Artesia Town Center, which is managed by a property management company, but also we have 2 people within the finance department that help out with the day-to-day there. And then as your city treasurer, I oversee the city's $28 million investment portfolio. We currently have 1 fixed asset portfolio, as well as 3 municipal pools. We invest in a variety of different things. So we have an account with Lake, which is held by the state treasurer, and then we have an account with California Class, CAM, and then our fixed asset portfolio, which is with Academy Asset Management. And that's a summary of the finance department. I am going to pass it back to our city manager now. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie, everyone else. So that's just a brief overview of the many things that we do for you, the residents and the businesses in the city. It's important work, and a lot of the work goes unseen, so I just want to make sure that everybody had an opportunity to walk us through that. So with that, now we'll go to the main event, and I will turn it over to the mayor to continue with tonight's meeting. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Now we'll move on to public comment. Madam City Clerk, at this time. I just want to remind everybody that public comments are restricted to 3 minutes. And do we have any written public comments or anybody signed up to speak?
Yes, Mayor. We received 2 emails which have been dispersed to council. I also have copies here for the public, and I have 4 members signed up ready to speak. Would you like me to call them up?
Go to the city manager first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as the clerk indicated, we did receive a couple of emails. They were quite lengthy, so what we did is we broke them out by areas of concern. So the document that you have there that you've reviewed is we've identified 4 concerns that were brought up with the emails, and I'll just briefly paraphrase what the concerns were. The first concern was a resident was asking about the metro train that will be coming to the city of Artesia and was concerned with causing crime to increase in the city. And we can take that one by one, Mr. Mayor, if you like, or if you want me to just read them all.
We can just go ahead and read them all at this time.
Okay.
Council. Yeah, we can read them all.
Concern number 2 was a concern regarding vacant lots along Artesia Boulevard not being developed. Specifically, they mentioned several properties along the Artesia Boulevard corridor, and the comment assumes that projects and developments are stalled at these locations, and they would like the council to consider how funding priorities will address stalled developments, long-term vacancies, code enforcement, and beautification in the city. The third concern was acknowledging that the person acknowledged the value of the senior center, but they would like other avenues for senior programming, and they would ask the council for budget priorities for the senior population. And the last concern was a concern about bulky item dumping in the neighborhood by Carver Academy, especially by repeat offenders, hoping for enforcement and fines for repeat offenders to deter continuous dumping. So they suggested having parking enforcement, which follows the weekly street sweeper, to note bulky items and report them to code enforcement for enforcement and follow-up. Those were the 4 areas of concern.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Does council want to address any of those very quickly? Or we get into the public comments? We'll go to public comments then. All right, let's bring up the first speaker.
Lorelei Bailey.
Good evening, members of the council, staff, and fellow residents. My name is Lorelei Bailey, representing Strong Towns Artesia. We stand ready as ever to collaborate and cultivate a stronger, more resilient city. Artesia is embarking on a new phase of evolution, maturation that brings with it new challenges. As we advance, we must continually refine our approach to problem solving, ensuring a strategy that guarantees enduring success for our community. Tonight, we offer a framework, 6 proven principles that have moved communities toward prosperity. Principle number 1, financial solvency is a prerequisite for long-term prosperity. We are encouraged by the diligence Artesia's leaders have shown on this front. Thanks to the council and our city staff, particularly our incredible finance manager, Jamie, we now benefit from clear accounting and true transparency, enabling us all to ask the right questions. Number 2, land is the base resource from which community prosperity is built and sustained. It must not be squandered. The development and activity taking place on our land must create enough wealth to support the infrastructure and services required for that place to not just exist, but to truly thrive. Empty plots unfairly burden us all. 3, the transportation system is a means of creating prosperity in a community, not an end in itself. We need a more holistic transportation system in our city. Ask, does it meet our diverse needs for moving people? Is it fostering the conditions conducive to economic productivity we seek? Is it creating a safe environment? Or are we experiencing dangerous levels of speeding and crashes? Do we boldly explore alternatives for mobility, or are we limiting ourselves to only one tool? Principle number 4, job creation and economic growth are the results of a healthy local economy, not substitutes for one. We should ask, do we want economic development that feels like a big game hunt? Or do we prefer the nurturing work of gardening, cultivating local businesses that ensures the wealth created here stays here, rather than chains sending their profits to a headquarters located elsewhere? 5, strong cities cannot happen without strong community members. As Jane Jacobs wrote, cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created by everybody. Places endure and flourish when residents assume ownership of their cities. We propose recognizing residents as essential stakeholders in our future success. Lastly, local government is a platform for community members to collaboratively build a prosperous place. The hallmark of a strong town is a local government that is focused on its people, on uplifting them, engaging them, and partnering in co-creation of place. Artesia is a wonderful city, and we are confident that by embracing and applying these 6 principles,
Your 3
we can
minutes is
continue
up,
to build a
Lorelai.
home we are proud of. One that makes others wonder how such a small city could be so mighty. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let's try this again. Janice M.
Good afternoon, everyone. Council members, staff, and those who are attending. This is my first time at a council meeting, and I feel embarrassed. I've been living here for 33 years. But I've been busy, but I'm now retired, so I think I have enough time. I just have questions, and the questions are concerns. I walk every day, 3 miles, and when I walk, I see a lot of vehicles parked on the pavement, and I just think about people who are disabled, how that can affect them. So I'm just leaving that out there. I think, I walk in Cerritos sometimes, I don't see that. So I want to know what's the difference between Cerritos and Artesia. And I love this city, if I may say so. My other one is graffitis. If someone can tell me now or later, who is responsible for graffitis on public buildings? A couple months ago, there was one by Glamour Nail, and it was there for about 3 days until I walked inside the store and brought it to their attention. And in a day, it was removed. So I just need to know, is it the city's concern, or is it the person who owns the building? Next question that I have. Overgrown trees over property, private property. I have a big tree hanging over the back of my storehouse, and I would not like to see it up on my roof, because I don't have the time to go through who is responsible to take care of that. 3 minutes, right? Then we can get to my next question. Sorry. On manicured lawns. I walk around and it is disgusting to see some of the houses in the area. Lawns, I don't know if you can have a fine or you can contact residents, but there are some high-grown lawns that I see, and I know that affect property value, if I am correct on that. That's about what I have questions being here today. Whether I get my answers or not, I just want it to be brought to the attention of everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Janice, for those questions. Mr. City Manager, can you dive in there for a bit?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So before I provide some answers to those questions, I just wanted, I forgot to mention it. Each of the department heads, including myself, we have our business cards here. We'll leave them here at the table. At any point during the meeting, if you have to leave early but you'd like to get our cards for follow-up or just reference, please feel free to come up and take those cards. Okay, so the questions really fall into two operational areas, and it's a combination of our public works maintenance team as well as our code enforcement division. So I'll ask Paul and Ernesto to answer each of those questions. There's some crossover on some of them, but maybe we'll start with you, Paul, and address the ones that are more directly related to you, and if there's stuff that's overlapping with public works, Ernesto can jump in on that as well.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start out with, if I understood it right, vehicles parked on the pavement. I'm assuming when you're going for a walk, you're referencing sidewalks and other areas of pedestrian travel. The city is concerned about that, but, you know, of course, we can't be everywhere every day at the same time. We do rely on a lot of the community to phone in their complaints to us so that we can go over and address the issues, which we do. Our parking enforcement does go out there and they address it where vehicles and trucks, whatever, are parked on the parking lot. So we ask you to partner with us during those times when, if you feel that vehicle's been there for longer than it shouldn't have been there in the first place, to please reach out to the city and report that, and then we can dispatch our parking enforcement staff out there to address the issue. The second question was, I'll go to the ones that I have directly with me right now. The second one, if I understood it right, was about overgrown trees on private property. The city does not manage private property issues as far as maintenance of trees and issues like that. So we can direct those if it's a tree between property owners. It is a civil issue, and we ask you to try and work with those property owners and address those concerns that you have. Any trees that do come over to your property, you are allowed to trim them up to the fence line of your property. You do have that right, but anything to maintain it past that is between the other property owner. Lastly, the unmanicured lawns. Our parking enforcement is a reactive department. So when we do receive the complaints, we do dispatch code enforcement out there. The process is we issue a notice of violation. That's the requirement. It was adopted by City Council. That it gives the property owner 10 days to abate that violation. And if it does not happen, code enforcement then has the ability to go out there and start issuing citations. And the frequency is dictated on the number of complaints received at that house over the past 12 months. And then we stay on that until the issue is resolved. Lastly, the graffiti problem is two-pronged. Like the city manager said, from a code enforcement aspect, again, if we are in our daily route of doing field visits, or we receive a call about graffiti on the city buildings, the private buildings, as we said, and then we work with those property owners to have the graffiti removed. And then we do have the opportunity, if the property owners want to sign a letter of release that allows the city to go onto that property if it's a reoccurring property and paint over that on their behalf. So there's two avenues for that. And then Ernesto will talk a little further how he's managing graffiti in the city. I can say we do have 13 alleys in the city that he manages. He may speak on that and a couple other items surrounding that.
Just a minute. For the trees hanging over, it's not on another property. Those on South Street.
Okay.
Those trees on South Street. Yeah,
Okay.
Greenland and no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it is a city tree, we can definitely take a look. If it's a city tree, then we have the ability to trim it. We do have an arborist that can go out to assess the tree, and we can trim it at any time. So if you want to let me know where the tree is, and I can determine whether or not it's a public tree or a private tree. As far as graffiti, We do have a dedicated staff member that debates or removes graffiti every single morning throughout the city. He only is able to remove graffiti on public property. So if there's graffiti on private property, we do have a service, Public Works is able to remove it as long as the home or the resident or business owner contacts City Hall and signs a right of entry consent form. Once Public Works has that, we are able to go onto private property and remove graffiti. And we do have the ability to color match as well.
And lastly, I'd just like to, those are excellent questions because those are the kind of daily questions that we get a lot of, trees, graffiti, in particular graffiti. And I want to talk about that a little bit. I've worked in other jurisdictions and whatever the city, big or small, graffiti is probably one of the most difficult things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. So I think what we try to enact is we're never going to stop it completely, but what we can do is we can try to minimize the effects, and that is try to get it cleaned up as soon as possible. Now, there are some complications here, and I did forget to mention that one of the key members of our team up here is our contracted city attorney. And we consult with our city attorney in many cases to make sure that we're abiding by the laws that allow us to enforce. Graffiti is one of those situations where if you see graffiti on private property, for example, we cannot just go on to private property, force them to remove it right away, and just do it ourselves. That's not the way we approach it. We do issue notices of violation, which gives them 72 hours to clean it up. And that's a key time frame to remember. So if you see that there's graffiti on private property, if you're the first person to see it and you want to report it, please go onto the city's website, make a phone call, let us know. As soon as we know that there's graffiti there, the clock starts ticking. Okay, we would be able to go out and issue them a citation, notice of violation, and they have, within the laws of our city, 72 hours to fix it, paint it, remove it. If after that time it's still there, then we can take additional enforcement efforts. Okay. So part of what I just wanted to clarify to the audience here this evening and those that might be streaming at home is when you can provide us the information as quickly as possible, that's how then we can move quicker to remove those things, to pick up dumped furniture, to remove graffiti, okay? So I encourage you all here tonight to talk to your neighbors. If they're frustrated and why is this there, communicate with us. Let us know that it's there so that we can then move into action and take care of it. So again, I appreciate the questions because those are, again, the things that we deal with all the time. And it's very frustrating for us as well as it is for the residents. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I hope we answered those series of questions.
All right, very good. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, first of all, thank everyone who's here and those who are here for the first time. And just a quick point to add on the graffiti issue. Ms. Janice, appreciate you being here for the first time, and you are welcome anytime. But a couple years ago, the city passed an ordinance. It's not only that we notice or we contact property owners who have graffiti. The systemic issue is those who are committing the graffiti crimes. So one of the ordinances that we passed a couple years ago was when we were seeing an uptick on individuals or minors who were committing these graffiti crimes. And we were one of the first cities in the area to do so, if we see it being done by a certain person, by witness or by video especially, which our sergeant could probably talk to if we had this already happen, then we can notice and find the parent or guardian of the minor. And it has happened where they've had to be fined and hit. So we're trying to approach these issues that are being up tonight in different avenues. And we're also recognizing that they do occur. But if Sergeant, if you have time to also share what that's been like with having such an ordinance, that would be also helpful for residents. I think Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to Councilmember Manalo.
Thank you,
Very
Mayor.
quickly.
Just very quickly, I really wanted to thank Lorelei from Strong Towns to stand up and make the comments that she made. I quickly connected to the issue of problem solving, but also recognizing that we have an extremely proactive staff in the city. So although Paul did mention that sometimes code enforcement is reactive, these issues that Ms. Janice brought up right now, those are all issues that the council and the staff have taken a very proactive approach to. So I think that that's something to acknowledge about this current staff and the current council. And the residents that are bringing the issues to us, because while we're so appreciative of those of you who have shown up tonight, we get regular calls, emails, texts, even visits to our homes sometimes from residents to let us know issues that they're concerned about. And when we bring that to the staff and to our city manager and to our law enforcement and to everybody else who's part of the team of taking care of the city, we do get a lot of response. And so I do want you to know, Janice, and again, thank you for showing up. This is your first meeting and you already spoke. So I think you've solidified your role in this community. So we appreciate that. Just so that you know, there is a proactive nature to much of the work that our staff does. And you might be wondering why the council is not saying so much tonight, because those are the folks over there that can really answer. They're the ones who are on the ground, boots on the ground, working daily to resolve a lot of these issues, but also to bring, like I said, proactive, attempts to solve issues in our city. So it's not that we would love to talk, as you can tell. We want to respond to everything, but I think it's great, so thank you, staff, for being ready to answer these questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Can we go to the next speaker card, please?
Yes, Mayor. Brandon Riley.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, thank you, City Council members. I just want to give thanks to the Parks and Rec crew for all that they do. I was a resident here myself. I played baseball, I think, in the 90s, and that was about it, which is great for what it was. But I think all the programs now that are available for my firstborn, middle school order, he did dance, karate, tennis, flag football, basketball, soccer first year, and a few other things. And he's only 8 years old. He's in all these programs here. So it's been an amazing journey. And it's not just the things for the kids, but also like the citywide events that they organize. I really look forward to like the Mariachi Festival, the Diversity Festival. And it's really like these great services that we have, including our amazing library. We have a much smaller budget than Cerritos Library that has their dinosaur homes or whatever. And it's great the way we do these things for our kids. And so I'm so thankful for the staff, for Edith, Joshua, everyone else, Coach Ariel, Albert. And it's just a great thing. So I think about, my dudes. I hope they go to do great things. My oldest wants to be a YouTuber. I don't know what that means. But whenever they complete their lives, they will be great in no small part because they were able to grow up here, meet friends here, and stay with those friends that they see, and they're so excited to hang out with every time here. So I just want to urge you to keep supporting the growth of the Parks and Rec services because they're an amazing thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments.
Lena Muntas.
Can you say the name again, please?
Lena Muntas.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, Artesia residents. My name is Lena Montaz. I work as a community organizer down at the South Asian Network. We're a 35-year-old nonprofit that's been based out of here in Artesia. And I'm standing here today in front of you guys. I want to strongly ask the city to formally designate the
2 blocks of Pioneer Boulevard from 183rd to South Street as Little India. Although it's formally recognized by Google and Maps and community members, that formal designation will play a big part in the local economy. From 183rd to South Street, Little India is home to more than 100 South Asian small businesses. They've all contributed to Artesia's local economy for decades. These businesses generate sales tax revenue, create local jobs, and attract regional visitors. We've been serving local community members, we've been serving small businesses, and as of recently, SAN has also started hosting Little India tours for different colleges. And they've all come to us with a general consensus that they want to uplift these small businesses and community members. Across Southern California, formally recognized ethnic commercial districts like Koreatown, Little Saigon, Little Tokyo, Little Bangladesh, where our LA office is located, and most recently, Little Arabia, have demonstrated measurable economic benefits for these cities. These areas serve as cultural tourism destinations that bring consistent foot traffic, strengthen local business ecosystems, and increase consumer spending with surrounding corridors. Ethnic enclaves are also proven incubators for immigrant entrepreneurship. They provide accessible pathways into small business ownership for first-generation immigrants who may otherwise face language barriers or capital barriers. And when cities formally recognize these districts, it helps stabilize commercial corridors, attract investment, and support long-term business retention, which is really important here. As of recently, you'll see that 2 businesses shut down in Artesia in that block. And the South Asian community are among the fastest growing population in Los Angeles County. And Little India remains one of the few centralized ethnic commercial hubs serving this community in this region. However, with rising commercial rents and shift in consumer behavior, it continues to place a strain on independent retailers. A formal designation would not only acknowledge Little India's historical and economic contributions to Artesia, but also strengthen opportunities for corridor revitalization, tourism, promotion, and small business support, particularly as the FIFA and Olympics on its way to SoCal. Supporting this designation is a strategic investment in economic development, cultural preservation, and the sustainability of Artesia's small business community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Lena, for your comments. We'll go to the next speaker.
Bill Zylstra.
How come it's so quiet? What are you doing? No, I'm not going to say anything bad. First of all, I want to thank you, the city, for putting this on, because in our constitutional republic, the most important thing is the city you live in. I think nowadays with media and everything goes to the federal government. It's us that live in Artesia to protect Artesia, so I appreciate this. Okay? And then the other thing is I want to thank my police officer buddies and all the hard work and the support by the city, what they do. Their hands are tied because of the bureaucracy of our politicians at the LA County and the state level. These guys work really hard, and I appreciate everything you guys do for them. And I walk to my street and we have one, and that's all been through citywide, so I appreciate it. My complaint is, not a complaint, but we're getting a lot more people in Artesia because people are building a second home. And our streets are getting a little more crowded. So, Mr. Sanchez, I need to talk to you because I would like to put a couple stop signs on Ashworth to stop people from racing drag strip down that and try to stop that a little bit and protect people, because it's very difficult to turn when you're on Clarkdale and turn right or left because of the people that park there. We're getting more and more people living on those streets for the second. Did you see the one where they lifted it with a crane in the backyard? Any of you guys seen that? There was a crane and the guy built a second home and they lifted it in his backyard. That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I think I'm going to my life to do that. That's amazing. How do you get permits for that?
I don't think you do.
Yeah, they had to because they blocked the street off with a big crane. So anyway, I came here and these guys, I'm supporting those guys, I'm supporting you. I know we have political differences, right? We do, but this is not the time and place. I just came here to say thank you for putting this on.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate the comments. Anybody want to comment on that? Right. No, and you're right. We are seeing our city begin to get crowded more and more and more. And this is not about blue or red, it's about Artesia. And at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. The deputies do an amazing job. Thank you to Sergeant Ramos and his group for always taking care of our city in the best way that they can. But we do have a challenge, and Sacramento has opened up and allowed developments like crazy. So when SB 79 came into place several years ago, allowing a single family property to be bought and then chopped up into 4 houses, we couldn't do anything to stop it. But what we did was make it more, make the process more fair, more thorough, so that hopefully it doesn't happen as often. But at the end of the day, Sacramento's laws override Artesia, and that's what people are taking advantage of at this particular point. But your point is very, very well taken, and I'm sure Ernesto will connect with you regarding those potential possible stop signs. So, all right, next speaker, please.
Carl Fonseca.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, City of Artesia, for putting this on. I'd like to echo the former speaker that it is quiet in here. And it's not a complaint, but I would like to see a more informal town hall. As a town hall, I picture more people standing up, asking a question, maybe getting direct reply. More output from the council members and from the audience. Now, as far as housing, I understand the city is facing, or has come up with a housing element. Briefly, I read that they need to come up with over 1,000 affordable units. So my question is, how does the city plan on doing that? And how are they going to keep quality of life for the citizens of Artesia? Now, speaking of quality of life, one of the issues I put on my card to speak about tonight was fireworks. That was another issue that was on the last city council meeting. And I understand we're taking some advice from our neighbor city in Bellflower. They have apparently an ordinance where you can find the homeowner if the illegal fireworks are coming from that property. So I understand Artesia has passed, or is in the process of passing a similar ordinance. I'd like to know a few more details about that as well. Right now, we're not hearing too many fireworks, but we all know they're coming. And this is, people tend to divide legal fireworks, illegal fireworks. And I know Mr. Mayor and we've had some discussions of that in the past. My opinion is that legal fireworks leads to illegal fireworks, or it's not in all cases, but and I don't understand why we have churches and schools selling stuff that is dangerous and is illegal for children to buy. That's beyond me. They say, oh, it's to raise funds for the schools or whatever. There are many ways to raise funds other than to sell dangerous stuff for children to possibly harm themselves. But California has limited depends on how many days legal fireworks. That's it.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead and finish
more
your
informal. That's my main.
No, I understand. Yeah, no, we should go ahead and finish your point. Go ahead and finish your point.
As far as the fireworks, California allows, 4 or 5 days of, the cities that do allow fireworks, you can't have more than 4 or 5 days of sale of legal fireworks, or it's restricted to very few days. Years ago, the city staff brought up a proposal to reduce the number of days that Artesia allows to sell fireworks and to use those fireworks. Mr. Mayor, you were one of those who opposed that. So I hope you and your council members will reconsider and reduce the days of legal fireworks, because again, I don't think we need all those days of legal fireworks if it's just to celebrate the 4th of July.
Thank you, Carl, for those comments. Mr. City Manager, can somebody explain the fireworks ordinance and how that will take effect and what the penalties are on that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. At our last meeting a couple weeks ago, the City Council introduced a new ordinance which will strengthen our existing fireworks code in the city's municipal code. And it specifically. Is this okay?
Yeah, better.
So the ordinance will hold a property owner responsible for illegal fireworks that are set off on property, or if there is a gathering.
That's good.
Or if there's a gathering on the property where someone invites friends who bring illegal fireworks over, it will hold them responsible. That ordinance is not effective yet. It is going for second reading and adoption at our March council meeting on March 9th, and if approved, it will take effect 30 days thereafter. Also at our March meeting, we will be taking a recommendation of a resolution to increase the fines associated with illegal fireworks. We currently have higher fines for illegal fireworks. They are $1,000 per offense in a 12-month period. But the proposal is to increase them further and also add in additional fines specifically for those who may set off illegal fireworks in crowded venues like an event or a program, to make those even higher because they pose a greater danger to the public.
Okay, thank you so much, Deputy City Manager Burke. City Manager, Ms. Ramos?
Yes, and if Mr. Mayor, members of council, if you'd allow me just a brief moment to answer one of the other questions that Mr. Fonseca had. I think it was the first one was about the housing. So this is probably one of the more tricky or complex issues that it's hard to explain, and I think it's hard for people to understand what this really is, but I'll try to synthesize it to its core. Every city in the state of California is required to create a document called the housing element, and it's on an 8-year cycle. So every 8 years, we're supposed to generate this report. It's an element of our general plan. We are razor close to getting that approved by the state. At the last council meeting, the city council approved the final version of our housing element. We've been working really closely with the State Department of Housing and Community Development, and we feel very good about our chances of getting that finally adopted. But to the point that Mr. Fonseca was asking about how are we going to build all these units, Well, the biggest thing that people don't understand is the document itself, that our goal is to essentially show the state of California that we have the capacity and the ability to develop those housing units. That's a planning document. We plan for it, so we demonstrate to the state that we can achieve this goal. But as everybody in this room knows, the city does not build housing. Developers build housing. So what the plan really is, it's a roadmap to show the state that we comply with all the laws, that we're open for business, is maybe another way of saying it. You know, developers that choose to come to the city of Artesia and want to develop a vacant lot can do so. And the housing element tells them how it can be done, right? Affordability levels. So our job is to ensure that developers have an ability to build the housing that we're required of. Whether that housing gets built or not is a second thing, right? And again, we don't build the housing, we prepare for it. So I'm happy to say, as a city manager here, that it's taken us a long time to get to this point, and I'm waiting every day for that phone call that says, yes, you've met your goal. Because we do want to build housing, and it's important that we do. But the first step is to actually get that housing element done. So I hope that clarifies, because again, I think that a lot of people think that we have to build all those units. Well, we have to plan for that, and that's what we've done. And now we're waiting to work with developers that are willing to come to our community and build quality housing, and that's really what we want to do.
Thank you for those clarifying comments. And just as a side note, we are up here tonight, obviously, to interject and to offer opinions and ideas, but we're trying to limit our comments so that we hear more comments from the audience, because you all know that we can talk and talk and talk. So we want to make sure that you understand that. The other thing I wanted to say, one of the comments that came in written comments, was why doesn't the city do something with all the empty lots? Well, the city doesn't own them, and private parties own them. And unfortunately, sometimes it's like monopoly. You buy a property and you sit on it, and you sit on it for 10 or 15 years. And that owner lives somewhere in Santa Barbara or San Diego. They don't live here in Artesia, and they don't do anything with the property. So that impacts all of us that live and thrive in our city. So along with that housing element plan, as our city manager said, it's a roadmap on potentially what could happen in our city, but the developers have to come in and move that forward. So we'll go on to our next speaker.
Yes, ma'am. Patricia Dixon.
Hi, Mayor and council members and staff. I'm Patricia Dixon. I'm here to address I have a couple of issues to address the MetroLink property. If you stand down and look down towards Cerritos, towards the mall, that path is all cleared out there. There's no mountains of dirt, there's not a lot of weeds. If you look behind sprouts down that officers back here. I don't know if you know, we've had probably 3 incidences within the last 8 months on the street I live on. And I have to tell you that they've been very responsive. And when we come out of the houses to see what's going on, they've kept us informed about what's going on. But there's so much traffic down there. We've had 1, 2, 3 vehicles hit from people speeding down on our street. One of them, they hit and run it. One of them was in broad daylight. The boy that hit it couldn't get away. And he totaled the person's car. And the other one was coming off Alberta's onto 186th Street. I don't know how they made the turn there, but they turned and they were speeding and they ran into the car. So I'd like to know how you guys are going to address the speeding issues down the streets.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So there was a few questions here. We'll start with the first one. Questions about the walking trail. I'll turn that over to Ernesto, our Public Works Manager.
Yes, so I'll address the dirt mounds. So we are aware of them. Similar to what I said before, where our staff can't enter to private property, Metro doesn't like this on their property as well. However, I can report that we have secured a consent form for Metro that would allow us to proactively go there and clean up those dirt mounds ourselves. So we're going to be scheduling that soon. And there are weeds, and we are working with Metro to clean those up.
With regards to the questions on the ADUs and the trash, Paul, I'll turn to you and talk about the trash cans and then what happens if they're not compliant with our codes on them.
So every property in the city is required to have trash service as required by state requirements. What is required is they have to have regular trash, they have to have recycling, they have to have a green waste. And that's dictated per the household that they each have one of those trash cans. And it's not based on number of head of household, the size of the property, they have to have each one of those. But where this comes in is where code enforcement gets involved. If you have these issues and it's overflowing, and then we can start a case on this and we identify this, we can now have a case and mandate that they do get a higher quantity of trash cans so they don't have this overflowing. That is the way to deal with those issues. But again, it's got to be brought to our attention. And if we do go out to a residence and we see this trash and it's overflowing, we open a case, we manage it, and if we get a second call the following week or 3 weeks later, we see it again, then we start having calls with the property owner and we start enforcing them to reach out to CR&R or they're going to get another trash can to support their household.
So you're saying if they have an ADU, they still only have to have 3 trash cans?
An ADU has its own address and they would be required to have their trash can. So that would be the requirement.
Mr. Paul, if I may add.
Hold on. Ms. Dixon, you want to get back to the microphone or?
No, I'm just wondering because they do not have 6 trash cans out there. I know that.
Okay. And I say the ADU in the sense that it has its own address and it's their own tenant in there versus the family member that's living there with their family.
Mm-hmm.
So when that's brought to our attention, that's how we manage that as well.
Okay.
All right, we have a comment, council member here.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, we contract with CR&R, that is our trash company, and if you can make a suggestion, if you're able to your neighbors, you can ask them to purchase additional trash cans. And 3 are mandatory, and then additional are temporary, so they can request additional for however long they want. That's the information that I know of. You can correct me.
Well, from what he said, if there's an ADU and there is an ADU there and they do have a separate address, they should have 6 trash cans.
They have to ask for it, because sometimes CR&R doesn't know that the house has been divided into 2. So they only collect fees from that household which they have on their records. But yes, if we we cite them that they're obligated to order more, but they would have to pay for these trash cans on their own, just like how all of us are paying for our trash. Thank you.
If I may, Ms. Dixon, if you'd like, before you leave, if you come and just give us the address that you're concerned with, the general concerns, especially on the street. You didn't mention the street, and I know you also raised some concerns about speeding on that street. We can talk about what's going on there and consult with our sheriff's deputies to see if we can help with that. But just as a general comment on the trash service, as Paul said, it is a requirement that they pay for them. Oftentimes, sometimes they pay for it, whether or not they actually get the cans. You know, if it's a family member, for example, they may not need those extra cans, so they can do that as well. But it is a requirement that they have trash service there. But again, if you give us your address after, we can talk to you and see what we can do to help with the situation.
Thank you so much. All right, we have another speaker card.
Yes, Mayor, we have one more. Dan Rocha?
Mayor, council, residents of Artesia, my name is Dan Rocha. It's been talked a couple of times here about the vacant land, and Mr. Mayor, you kind of just touched on it. People buy these, investors come, they buy this land, they hold on to it for 10 or 15 years, and this is called speculative land banking. It's no mystery that the Metro's coming. We just had the chair of the LA Metro at our Rotary board meeting, I'm president of the Cerritos Artesia Rotary Club. And I asked Mr. Fernando Dutra, I said, you know, how many years before we could actually step foot on a train from Artesia? And he said about 10 to 12 years. So it'll be a while, but in that time, I imagine more and more investors are going to buy property and they're going to keep it empty, and that's a huge problem for us. And I think one of the ways we can mitigate that problem, and what I'd encourage this council to consider, is a vacancy tax. If you're not going to build anything for this community to enjoy and further be a blight on this city, you should pay an absolute premium. And that would be my suggestion. I think we're going to continue seeing more of this because investors know that if they buy land today, that the more years we get closer to that metro getting here, the more money they're going to make off that land. And so this council needs to address that and start making those investors pay for creating these blights on our community. Thank you.
And thank you for the comments, Mr. Rocha. The challenge becomes for the empty properties. We have how many empty properties right now in the city? That empty lots.
Currently, we're managing about 35 vacant properties in the city right now.
And is it just vacant properties or empty buildings as well?
The properties in question consist of vacant properties entirely, and others consist of vacant properties with structures.
Okay. So one of the things that we are in the process of doing, we have an ordinance now that allows us to require these property owners, these buildings owners, to register that vacant property with City Hall, and that allows us to know that it is empty, and there they need to take care of it, make sure it's maintained, and it's not a visual handicap to the residents. A vacancy tax would certainly apply here. That's something maybe the council can discuss, and a tax could be voted on by the voters in regards to addressing that. But as of now, we have 35 properties that would fall under that tax. So that's something we can certainly talk about. Councilmember Manal, you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Rocha, thank you for your comment, and I think that's something that, as a council and staff of the city, we struggle to find solutions to this. In Artesia, we have a unique situation where many of these properties are actually not land banking, but they're actually properties that have been left to inheritors who don't live in the city of Artesia, are not interested in developing property in Artesia, don't live in the city of Artesia, and so we struggle with that. You're probably familiar with many of those properties that, whether they're on Artesia Boulevard or they're on 187th or they're on other areas of the city that they are not banking, but instead they have been left to people who just don't have either the wherewithal, the interest, the ability to develop, right? So they're holding on to this land, and that's one of the challenges.
That's mostly residential, right?
No, and I certainly don't want to mislead, but I know that some of these properties that we're dealing with, especially the ones on Artesia Boulevard, where those were, properties that were commercial properties, but were left to families. And so that's one of the challenges. So we don't want you to think that we're not proactively addressing this issue, because actually we are. And Mr. Mayor, if I can ask the city manager to share a little bit about some of the
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, Mr. Rocha, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember and members of the council. So the ordinance, a little bit of clarification on the ordinance itself. So the ordinance that we're referencing is an ordinance that was adopted last year, and we have been rolling it out and enforcing it for the last couple of months, 2-3 months? Since December 15th, thank you. So what it is an ordinance that requires vacant properties or vacant buildings to comply with the city's ordinances regarding property maintenance. So just because somebody has a vacant property or vacant building doesn't absolve them of having to maintain such property, right? So what the ordinance does is it requires those property owners to register, okay? And there's a fee associated with that, but they register their property. And in doing so, they also commit to comply with our various standards regarding property maintenance. So that means that in this case, they would have to, the most visible part of it is that they would have to secure the property, whether it's a building, make sure that the building is secured, and make sure that there's no people breaking in, stealing stuff, firing, setting up shop, and just kind of squatting there. So there's that. With vacant properties is to make sure that the property has some form of fencing, okay? But here we're talking about giving them options of the types of fencing, but what we won't allow would just be the typical cheap chain link fencing with a green screen. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for something that's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And it's not so much to keep, it's not more of a security fencing, it's more of a fencing that blends in more with the aesthetic that we want to promote, which is maintaining the property, making it look nice. For those of you that drive through or familiar with the city of Bellflower, you'll see that Bellflower has vacant properties as well. People don't really notice them maybe quite as much, or see them differently because they have decorative, I don't know what you call it, but it's the farm style fencing, the white vinyl, and it also benefits the property owner, because if they are trying to market the property and having to clean it, maintain it, and make it look pleasing, I think it helps them as well. So we're in the process of doing that. I think of the 35 properties that we have, I'm guessing here, Paul, is it about 20 that have registered so far?
We're about 26.
26 of the 35 have registered. So we continue to work with those property owners that have not yet registered and make sure that they get on them. Once they're there, once they register, then we have much more ability to work with them and to hold them accountable for the maintenance of the properties themselves. So that's a new thing, and I'm really glad that the council had the vision to do that, because ultimately that was our next step. We know what lies ahead of us in terms of, and I forget who mentioned, I think maybe Ms. Roche, I think you've mentioned this about how long it's going to take for the metro to be built, right? And so the projection is 10 to 12 years. I'm optimistic. I'm looking more like 9 to 10 is kind of what I'm thinking of, but nonetheless, it's going to be a significant time. But right now, I think the timing of implementing this ordinance was just perfect timing, I think, because it gives us the ability to start working on these properties, getting them developed, getting them cleaned up, so by the time the train does arrive here, we're hopefully, my hope is that we're in the throes of a significant development era of Artesia. Okay, the state has required us to go higher, to higher density. You mentioned SB 79, Mr. Mayor. And these are things that some people see them as problematic, but I think what we're trying to do is to say, comply with the state laws, do the best that we can, and really make Artesia a great city to continue to live in and have a business in. And I think this ordinance here is a perfect example of us being proactive and really trying to make these sites look better, but also make them more developable. Is that a word? Yeah, developable. So, anyways, that's. Is that what you're hoping to just explain a little bit more about that? Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Do we have any more comment cards, Susan?
No, Mayor.
Okay. One of the things that we wanted to hear tonight are your concerns. And one of the things that I wanted to ask staff is, because we're about to start wrapping this up, what's the best way to address bulky items? Because they are, I hate to say everywhere, but there's a lot of them. And recently right in front of my business, somebody left a TV. So what is the best way for residents to address bulky items they see on the street?
Well, maybe I'll start, and then maybe Paul, I'll turn it over to you. So it's difficult. Okay, it's difficult. I think we've all seen it, right? And you wake up one morning and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where did this come from? Why is it on my street? Or worse, why is it in front of my house? Right? So really, the best thing that can be done is if you see it, say something. And by say something, I mean call the city. Go on the website, submit a service request, pick up the phone, call our office, and we will address it. And I personally am not on social media, so I can't really say all that goes on there. But I do know that eventually, when it finally gets to me, it's probably because somebody somewhere saw something and posted on social media. That's great if they are also at the same time calling the city, going on the website. Because if the only way to address it is to just post it for others to kind of comment on, it would be a lot better, a lot faster response if, in addition to doing that, because I get it, I know social media is important, but don't forget that the best, fastest way to address that is to call us and to let us know, in conjunction with talking to your neighbors and talking to them and putting it on social media. Of course, that's all a part, but that would be number one. I will say that we've done recently. We finally got to full capacity with our community development department, and that's who handles most of the dumping. And I just wanted to say that has also been helpful. I think our team has gotten much more responsive, and we have a lot better process for how we address the dumping. So certainly we still have a long ways to go, but I think we're headed in a much better direction than we were previously. So with that, let me then have Paul and maybe Ernesto, you can maybe talk a little bit about what we do internally with our maintenance team as well. But Paul, you want to fill in all the blanks that I left open?
Sure. So I agree. We, as our Artesia and all cities deal with the bulky item issue across all cities. It's nothing new. It is challenging, but I tell you that my department is very engaged with this. We just did a flyer distribution all the way up Alpurtis to every apartment, every house, everything on that street at the beginning of the month. Our code enforcement action is that if we go out there and we find a bulky item and we find that it is not on the CNR bulky item pickup that we receive every week, we issue a notice of violation to that property owner, and then we follow it up with citations daily till it's removed. And then what we do on top of that is our ordinance states, and we recently just changed the language in our ordinance, that the property owners now have to manage in, on, and around their properties, sidewalks, parkways, alleyways. So we're holding people more accountable. So we spoke about earlier about people owning properties here but not living here. So they're renting to people, or they just have vacant properties and the trash is out there or it gets dumped there. We're managing this. The city does not take light of this. Trust me. Again, I know a lot of people reach out to your council members. That comes right to code enforcement, and we manage it. So it doesn't go unseen. It's something that we want to fix. We're constantly working on it. By all means, we're doing that. The city also provides four drop-off points a year through Parks and Rec at the park that you can come in and drop off your bulky items as well. The next one's on April 11th. So that's another way we can do it. So again, like the city manager said, we can't be everywhere all the time. We're really looking for the partnership for the community to reach out and notify code enforcement of these, and we'll go out there and we'll address them. And it's not a good feeling for the property owner to receive that first violation at 250, the second one at 500, the third one at 1,000, every one after, within a 12-month period. So just know that we are working on it. And then I'll hand it off to Ernesto that can speak a little more about bulky items and how that's managed through Public Works.
Thanks, Paul. So, yeah, bulky items are kind of co-managed between code enforcement and Public Works. Public Works will take the lead when a bulky item is posing an immediate health and safety hazard. So I can give you an example. A couple of months ago, somebody dumped a old jet ski in the middle of the street, and so that required our Public Works to mobilize immediately to get that off the public right away before it caused an accident. So those are the times where our Public Works will immediately jump on and deal with the bulky item. Otherwise, if it's not causing an immediate health and safety issue, we'll defer to code enforcement to take the lead on that.
Can I ask a question? So, we know when the trees were down, who do they call? Are you guys there when the trees go down in the middle of the night?
We do respond. Public Works is on call. So usually people will call law enforcement, and so law enforcement or the fire department will get a hold of Public Works.
Can I say one more thing? In regards to the...
I'm sorry, I can't see who's speaking, but could you, is that any sort of, yeah, could you just go to, like, it helps with the streaming, so that the voice, so that people can hear clearly what it is that you're, thank you so much, thank you.
So in regards to the 4 items with CR&R, listen, I know this city has the power to say, hey, do better for our residents, or we'll look for another trash company. And more than one time, it's taken CR&R 2 weeks to pick up an item. You call them and they say, sure, we'll pick it up for you in 2 weeks. Well, if you're moving a big bed outside or something like that, the scrap metal guys are a blessing to our city, because they'll drive around and pick up my stuff half the time before CR&R ever gets to it. But they need to do better as far as picking up those bulky items. 1 week is maybe acceptable, but 2 weeks definitely isn't. There's a huge patch on my front grass because of a mattress that sat out there way too long. So that would be my comment.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that comment. Just as long as you go to the microphone, Coach.
I got a loud voice. voice, I didn't even hear the built-in mic. A built-in Dutch mic. Just people. Real quick question. I had a situation where I got a ticket because somebody in the alley moved out of their apartment and put their trash against my fence. That's ridiculous. I got a hold of the city council about that. So for us that live with apartments behind us and they start throwing trash by my fence, am I held responsible for that? Yes or no? Just yes or no.
As the way our ordinance read, yes, the property owner is in ownership of in and around their property. And if they do, as a residential customer, you do also have that right to contact CNR and request a bulky item pickup. They do offer those 3 per year for them to come out and do that also.
Okay, that means I have to dolly it to the front of my house because that's the only place they'll pick it up.
If that's where the pickup point is, yes.
Okay, so if I called maintenance, would they come and pick it up and help me move it to the front of my house if I was unable to move it? Because some of the stuff is large.
Maintenance meaning public works?
It's so large, because one time it was a nice, huge one, right? And I had to go dolly it myself. So what if I get hurt? See, I'm trying to bring up a scenario where the guys that live where I do, where we have apartments, and I wrote the mayor about all the trash that's in the alleys. So I'm held responsible because somebody dumped something on my property?
Correct.
It's in my alley? Okay.
Correct, and around your property, correct.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
So one of the things, and you did write me about the trash in the alleys, and I drove down the alley and took a video, and I would say, since this is a public meeting, I would say there was tons of stuff behind the apartments. Tons of it, and I have it on video because you emailed me, I drove down there, and then I sent it into to staff to deal with the building owners and such. Mr. City Manager, you were going to make a comment regarding CRNR and the bulk items?
Yeah, I think it's all related, right? So yes, CRNR is a partner of ours with the trash pickup and also with bulky item pickups. If in fact somebody let us know initially that there was something to be picked up, and if that individual called us back 2 weeks later and said nobody's coming to pick it up, then that's an issue that we would have to CRNR, right? If they had a scheduled bulky item pickup and they picked it up 2 weeks later, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen or couldn't happen. I'm not aware of any, that I can think of where it's happened. But if it did, we do have those conversations with them and we straighten that part out. So yeah, so I'm just saying that I don't know that it happens maybe as frequently as some people might think based on the comments that you made. But it's something that we always work with them, right? Right, we've got a contract with them, they perform a service. If any resident in the city has a concern about that service, you let us know and then we follow up on it to make sure that it doesn't happen again. With regards to the dumping, this is, I said graffiti was a difficult one because it's prevalent, it's always. Dumping is much the same way. Dumping is even maybe more frustrating than the graffiti because it's so nebulous in terms of like, well, all of a sudden one day you wake up and there's something there, and then along comes code and they issue you a notice of violation. And it's not a perfect system, but it's the only system where we can actually get some results. There's other ways that we're trying to address dumping. A lot of people have shared, a lot of people have Ring cameras or other cameras on their phone, on their house. So we totally welcome any video footage that you can show us where it comes from a particular property. Early on in my tenure here in the city, we had just about 2 months straight of just dumping constantly. A couple of residents did provide Ring footage and another camera that showed that we couldn't identify the person, but we could identify that it was somebody that lived within an apartment complex. And then we went after the apartment complex, right? Because we said, here's footage that shows that somebody from your your facility has been doing this. So anything of that nature that you can help us with, we would certainly welcome. With regards to maintenance, there are always those situations where, whether it's because of safety or whether it's because of, I don't know, other circumstances, where we would have our maintenance team go out there and assist, right, and pick it up. We don't have the capacity to do it every time for everyone in every instance, but we try to do it as much as we can, okay? Now, just a word with regards to those folks that live up against an alley. The thing that I think the public just needs to understand is that alley is just like your front street. Your property is, you are responsible as a homeowner for that back portion of the alley adjacent to your home. So that's something that maybe a lot of people don't realize or understand, and it becomes a conflict because they presume that the alleys are entirely public right of way, and it's not necessarily, that's not the case. So yes, unfortunately, if you see somebody dumping behind your neighbor's property or yours, it'd be best that you report it right away, let us know that somebody dumped that, and then we can address it that way. But if we go and we get a complaint from somebody a week later says, hey, they've got some stuff behind their house in the alley, unfortunately we have to treat that like we would in the front. You know, it's your property and you have to keep that clear. So again, it's not perfect, but it's the best way we can do it because we just don't have an ability to do it otherwise, to discern immediately who's right, who's wrong, is it yours, is it somebody else's, we just have to go by what we see.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And in regards to dumping and keeping Artesia clean, I will give a shout out. Strong Towns Artesia does monthly cleanups in conjunction with the Rotary Club and Miss Artesia. And there's one this Saturday. They're actually going to come to our business on Saturday as a staging area. But they go out and clean up a little area, and there's 5 to 7 people. They pick up trash, clean the area, and they bring 6, 7, 10 trash bags of trash back. So it's definitely those efforts continue to improve our community. And so, any other quick questions? Because we're going to wrap this up and we're going to go to council comments. I do want to say thank you to RTA for being here tonight. I want to thank you, RTA, for broadcasting this and always being a great partner to the city. I want to thank our staff for coming with the information. They are the subject matter experts. They are in it all day long, 7 days a week. And we really appreciate staff for being here tonight. And most of all, our deputies, Sergeant Ramos and his team. Thank you for keeping us safe. Thank you for coming out tonight. Do you want to give one brief moment on crime in the city, Sergeant Ramos? Yes. 1 minute. Yes. 1 minute. Come on up, speak at the microphone. There he is. Got the best sergeant in LA County right there.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Sergeant Ramos. I'm the dedicated sergeant for the city of Artesia. And part of my responsibilities here in the city is to oversee the SAOT and the patrol operations within the city. The city of Artesia contracts 2 deputies per shift each day. These deputies are responsible for responding to calls, to service, and traffic enforcement throughout the city. The primary focus is addressing emergency and routine calls to ensure the safety of our community. In addition to that, we have an SEO team that's made of 2 deputies and myself, and we are additional resource to patrol deputies that sometimes they're busy responding to calls and don't have the resources or the time to further investigate the crime. So the SAO's, their role is to proactively address crime and quality of life issues within the city. So the city brings to our attention a concern, and we fully dedicate our time to address it and solve the problem. So with that, we're committed to continue working closely with the community and maintain a high quality of life in the city of Artesia for the residents and the merchants.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. And-
I'll make a comment on the graffiti.
Oh, yes.
So, an ordinance was passed a couple of years ago, Pro Tem Hermoso mentioned it. So graffiti is a problem that every city has. And graffiti is a denominator of gang and violence. And so gang members use graffiti to mark territories, claim territory, and let all their gangs. This is a territory. So if you witness an incident, I highly advise you that you're very careful if you record it, because typically they have someone else looking at it. And typically they carry guns or weapons.
All right.
That concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. Thank you for that. All right, I do want to give a shout out to Maddie Marks Noble, representing our California State Senator Tony Strickland. So, thank you, and tell Senator Strickland we send him our best. All right. Very important, everybody, please sign up for the flash vote. It's another way for us to communicate with residents, keep you informed, get your opinion, ask questions, and share your thoughts.
Is it in Spanish also?
Good question. Is it in Spanish also? The flash vote, the survey? No? Okay, we don't know. We don't know. That's an honest answer. We'll find out, but that is a good thing. Maybe we can get it in a few different languages. Thank you for that. Thank you. All right. Please sign up for the flash vote. We got the cleanup on Saturday. We're going to end this with council member comments. And we'll start off with council member Taj.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I want to thank each and everyone who came out tonight and made comments, and also your presence. I just want to say one thing. Sometimes it is difficult for someone to come out for several reasons. I want to say thank you, Jazz, for coming out first time. But I also...
This is my second time.
Okay, second time. Duly noted, duly noted. But where I was going with this is that as council members, we are all you all have our access through social media, through phone calls, through emails, through text messaging. Please do not hesitate to reach out to any one of us. It doesn't have to be this setting. You can reach out to us at any time, and we'll be happy to make sure your concerns and questions are addressed. Not only us, but also the staff does a wonderful job. Tonight they're here to answer any of the questions or concerns as well. So definitely want to give a big shout out, just like Mayor said, to the staff. Let's give it up for them for a second. Second, our deputies, led by Sarge, the best Sarge in LA County. Let's give it up for them as well. And I just want to wrap it up that, we as a council work together to make sure that our bosses, which are the residents who elect us, get us here. I want to thank you all, and we work together to make sure that our residents are heard. And this session is really about the residents. So thank you for holding us accountable, being our eyes and ears. At times, we're not able to see certain things, but you're there to point it out. You're able to let us know. So thank you, and give it up for yourselves as well. Thank you. Let's give it up for yourselves. With that, thank you, and have a wonderful night, and we'll continue our conversation. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking the lead to do this, and Mayor Portan, and the city council members. Thank you so much. Those are my comments for tonight. Thank you.
Thank Thank you, Councilmember Taj. We'll go to Councilmember Ahir.
Thank you, Mayor Trevino. Thank you all for being here, especially going through each and every question. Those of you who are still standing, I commend you. Yes, in terms of this is my first town hall, actually. So, not just as a resident, but also on the other side. So, a lot to learn from me today. I will have to echo with my 1 year of experience on council, I can answer a few questions about getting some of these things resolved. We get the concerns from individual residents on our phones or emails, and we address them. And because of the fact that we have some new members and new energy on council as well as on staff, I can tell you we're trying to re-systemize ourselves. So the mistakes that happened in the past are being corrected in various domains. So contrary to, the enthusiastic speeches that they had on their mic, I can tell you they're very energetic about their job and they scrutinize to the T. Almost to the point where, yes, Coach, your property even has dumping on it according to the rules, as Mr. Paul suggested, would be on you. But yes, that's because we cannot do the job of speculating whatever happened. But as Mr. Abel suggested, if you report it right away, then obviously something can be worked out. On that note, I do request citizens to participate and engage more, because it's only through data that we can actually find a solution. Or, for example, for code enforcement, most of the complaints that we have today have to do with code enforcement. If we don't have the data of what's going wrong with the city, we can't really say, okay, let's just do 1 round per day. We can say, let's do 2 rounds per day, and then do it at these intervals. So, really important that we engage, and I will take comments, concerns through text messages, through emails, or even in person. I'm totally open. I know we have a mayor who's really active on social media, and he takes concerns that way. A lot of energy from other council members as well. So yeah, overall I would say we're very much committed to making Artesia better. So much so that we did look up, or at least I did, the land-based resource tax, as Mr. Rocha suggested. That has to be a legislation that needs a lot of data and research. So happy to look that up. Like we just passed the sales tax last election cycle, it'd be something like that. So if the citizens are on board, then we can probably make movement on that one. And then in terms of the metro coming to town, yes, it is years from now. I sit on the transportation committee from the Southern California Association of Governments. So if you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy. I've become a buff now, so I love to talk about it if someone wants to. So yeah, and thank you for making comment about making our district recognized as an ethnic enclave. Yes, thank you for just bringing all those facts. Furthermore, I think just to sum it all up, I won't take too much of your time, it's really important that we have these town halls, so really, really appreciative of the fact that this idea came to fruition. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Ahir. We'll go to Councilmember Manalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I have to start every time we're going to have a meeting or some kind of public event, I always have to remember that there is no greater privilege than to serve this community that I've lived in for 35 years and have raised my children in, because I'm a resident, just like all of my colleagues. So your concerns are concerns that we share as well. We drive the same streets, we shop in the same Stater Brothers, we ride on the same bike paths, we go to the same park events. So we need you to know we're not coming from the outside in. We are in the inside. And so one of the things that goes along with the unique challenges that we have in Artesia is some of the unique opportunities we have, and as my colleagues have already expressed, the fact that you see us in the stores, you see us on the street, you see us at the events, you have our phone numbers, you know where we live. I mean, you know where we live. I see some of my neighbors here. So you know where we are, you know how to get a hold of us. And so we really do appreciate the fact that you have confidence enough in us to reach out to us directly, to know that we're going to respond. I have to say, We have such a responsive city manager, staff of the city, public safety team. We are so fortunate in the city because we're small. We know who we are. We know who are the people that are going to speak up. We know who are the people that are kind of keeping it quiet. So we reach out to them because sometimes they aren't going to come directly to us. So we're going to go out to them. So I think that's one of the really important aspects of this city council, this city staff, the public safety team that we have. And so I hope that our residents appreciate that unique opportunity that we have in the city. We have some really exciting things happening in our city. We have a botanical garden coming. We're pursuing a business improvement district. We've got a public service center where we're going to repurpose the old library to be used for the service of the residents of the city and folks who want to come and start businesses or develop residential properties and things like that. So we've got some really good things happening in our city, along with the daily issues like public safety and the cleanliness of our city and maintaining it and the streets and the infrastructure. So there's just a lot going on. Know that we are, with the help of our public safety, of our staff, that we are holding your interests at heart. And because there are interests too. This is where we have invested, we have raised children, we have committed ourselves to this community. So just want you to know that. And one last thing that I wanted to say is that Mr. City Manager, Mr. Mayor, if I may, Mr. City Manager, I think that the issue that came out today, especially with Coach Zylstra's comment about the alley, you know, I've gotten some direct comments from and concerns from residents who either rent property that abuts the alley or own property about this issue with regard to dumping. So I think that is information that we need to put out to the public. I know we have ordinances in the city, and I know that folks can access that, but usually people aren't going to go through the municipal code. So maybe it's something we can put in the next Artesian, something we can put in on our website. We can draw attention to that, right? So that folks know, because I certainly wasn't aware when the resident reached out to me that it is the responsibility of the property owner. And so that's something for folks to be aware of. And so it's okay to request that, Mr. Mayor, to have that information maybe, you know, publicized, posted a little clearer. So other than that, along with my colleagues, I thank you deeply for coming out on a rainy, cold Thursday night to spend this time with us. And while I know that Mr. Fonseca and Coach Zylstra wanted it to be a little louder, I think that, and I understand the idea of having a little more interaction, and I don't know if that's something that maybe next time we can look at how we do maybe like smaller, maybe kind of smaller neighborhood type town halls, or different ways of having communication. But just know you can reach out to us. We're your neighbors, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us directly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Manal. We'll go to Mayor Pro Tem Hermoso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Manalo, for always being so positive. You know, this is my 8th year on this council, and it's been such a blessing and an honor to be serving the residents and our businesses. And tonight was a testament of how strong our team is here in Artesia. They are so knowledgeable that when you give them the mic, they'll tell you everything that they're doing. And it's amazing work that they're doing, and I couldn't be more proud to have this staff that was able to answer and articulate what we are doing in the city. So again, kudos to the staff for all the great work. This is the only time during a town hall that I can I'll try my best to succinctly address or acknowledge everyone that said something. I wanted to say thank you, Commissioner Bailey, for always talking about mobility, job creation, and having a healthy economy. Strong towns exist because you exist and your work. So please, I implore to the public to join and help strong towns. They do great work and they continue to do so much work for us. Again, to Ms. Janice, thank you for your second time for being here. I hope you were able to address some of their concerns, and thank you for taking your walks around our city. That's so important. I hear most of the comments from people who walk, bike, walk their dogs, and they're very observant, so that's helpful for us. us when you do relay your concerns or praises. Commissioner Riley is no longer here, but I always love, and I know we love hearing compliments, especially when it comes to our parks. Parks manager, Edith Guerra, actually gave us some great information about how our senior programs have grown, because I know Ms. Sassabone, who wrote in, wanted to address what we're doing, so maybe we could highlight more on our website all the new senior programming that we're doing, but wanted to always let everyone know that our parks program has been flourishing, and that's because of the leadership of our team who's here, and here after hours in the back too as well. And to Ms. Lena Mumtaz from South Asian Network, you know, I've always had an affinity for South Asian Network for the 30 plus years it's been, or actually probably 40 years that it's been around, and the work that you do. You did mention Little India. Mayor actually brought that issue up last council meeting, and it's actually going to be discussed. So thank you for coming here and highlighting the work that you're doing and the work that you continue to do for not only South Asians, but for the community. And also Coach Bill Zelstra, that was probably one of your nicest comments during this town hall. But you know, we appreciate you because you tell it how it is. And as someone who works for the state, I see all your concerns about the issues in the building, so all the bonus and city laws that we all have to adhere to, that the city, but we do our best to ensure that projects and home buildings that are happening, you're very cognizant of how that will affect our community. So know that we are very cognizant of what we're dealing with as well. Mr. Fonseca, you also talked about housing that needs to be built. I think the 1,000 housing units you were talking about, it's not affordable housing. The affordable housing part, I know, we are kind of being mandated by the state to plan for. It's about 480. So 1,069 units that we are being mandated by the state. So that's, and as it was said tonight, we are very close on our housing element, and that is a big accomplishment for our city. And knowing that we are trying to welcome and also welcome and embrace the growth that's happening in our city. That's actually really good as well. Last but not least, Ms. Dixon, thank you for actually coming in person. I cannot tell you how much the mounds on the trail have been such a bane of our existence, but working with Metro, knowing that this train is coming, we are doing our best, and you got the update tonight from our staff about that. And just want to thank you for bringing up the ADU and the trash can issue. That's not talked about, so I appreciate you being cognizant of that issue. And also, speeding was a theme tonight. I heard it for Ashworth, and then I believe, I think maybe in our notes it was mentioned. I think, Sergeant, what we were doing with Clarkdale and Elaine, we need to start monitoring and enforcing, just seeing like who's speeding, because, you know when it's around a school, it's very dangerous, and people tend to speed when they're late for taking their kids, going to work. So I think we need to make note, and Sergeant's already shaking his head that we're making notes to what we can do and help mitigate that speeding. And know that also Public Works has been working on mitigation for speeding as well, in terms of our street planning and all of that. Last but not least, Commissioner Barcelos, I know you're Miss Barcelos wrote it. Ms. Barcelos, thank you for bringing up the street sweeper in your comments. I think you know what I was just thinking throughout this process. Since we do have a public safety enforcement officer, trailing the street sweeper, why don't we have a code enforcement officer with the street sweeper, the public safety officer in the same car, noting the violations that are happening as the public safety officer notices the actual cars that are parked. That way you're not one person doing both. We could work together on that. I don't know, just an idea, because her comments were very valid street sweeping every day, might as well have a code enforcement officer be part of that solution. So, thank you for that, and I appreciate those comments. And Mr. Rocha, I know you talked about the vacancy lots. I hope that the city manager was able to talk about how we're approaching it at a holistic point, because it's not only, yes, a vacant tax would, it's an idea worth exploring, but the issue that Artesia always has had are the blind lots, just the unkept lots, and that's what we're addressing. And that's how we're tackling it first at a holistic approach. So those are all my comments, and I appreciate the time and indulgence, because this is the only time we can actually do this and actually talk and discuss with the public. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the time.
Certainly, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. So just want to wrap this up as quickly as I can. Wanted to thank everybody for coming out. A lot of familiar faces. We interact in regards to concerns and comments through social media, Messenger, Instagram, texting, emailing, phone calls, the whole 9 yards. And that's what we're here for. We're here to be your voice and advocate for things that get taken care of. I was very happy today when I heard that the mounds are being addressed, and I did notice that some have already been removed right by 187. They're starting to work on those things there. So that is everything is a work in progress. Bulky items are a big issue in our city, and we can have the conversation with staff in regards to maybe bringing this back in front of the council to talk about response times. It takes somebody 2 hours to put out a couch, but why do they get 72 hours to bring it in? So maybe we need to make that 24 hours and begin to look at things of that nature to try to make things more expedited within the city. Graffiti is an ongoing challenge. Every city has it, some more than others. But with our new technology, the ability to go work with residents and business owners to color match, hopefully we can minimize that, mitigate that as best we can. Artesia is a wonderful town. It is a wonderful small city. We have to continue to voice our concerns, but what we heard tonight are not new concerns. Dumping, graffiti, trees, speeding. We hear the same things, and we want to echo those to staff and say we need to find solutions. And we will never be perfect, but we have to always work to try to be perfect and get to that point. So these are great suggestions. I know they've been written down. They'll be summarized in the next week or so, and they'll be given to council, and we can begin to continue to advocate and really try to make sure that these things are addressed. I know we're dealing with parking, people that partially block driveways, people that park the wrong way on the street. I'm sure we've all seen that going through Artesia, and even people that double park in parts of our city because we're short on parking. You can't break the law to get a parking spot, and we cannot impede our will on somebody else. So these things are certainly on our radar. I want to wrap up with 3 quick things. On March the 7th is opening day for baseball and softball. And we have a wonderful pancake breakfast right here in this building. The Rotary Club sponsors the hot dogs out for all the kids that play baseball and softball. It's free glizzies for everybody that day. So it's a wonderful time, but baseball and softball are right around the corner. This Saturday, I feel like Johnny Carson, this Saturday, we've got Dog Day at the park. It's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a nice couple of hours. Bring your pet on a leash. Somebody gave me a note tonight about that. They said, read this about putting dogs on leashes when they're in public places. So with that being said, going back to Dog Day. Dog Day is 11 to 1. A lot of good things for the pets out there, right? A lot of booths, a lot of giveaways. It's a fun zone. It's really, you see the dogs interact and they talk to each other and, all the fun stuff. So that's this Saturday, the 21st. I don't have a dog, but I will be there. And then We are hosting another golf tournament. Last year, we raised about $20,000. And this money goes to youth programming in the city of Artesia. I'm the chair for this golf tournament. All 5 council people work on the tournament. We work with city staff. It is a fundraiser, believe it or not. But this goes to keep the kids off the streets and raise more money to really make sure that the kids have better choices, better alternatives, so they don't fall into the trap of the gangs. And if we can raise the $20,000 again and a few dollars more, a lot of our CR&R is involved, Supervisor Han's involved, a lot of businesses that we do business with are supporting. If you want to play, let us know. If you want to donate a prize, let us know. This is a great event. So with that being said, thank you to everybody for being here tonight. We will now adjourn the town hall meeting, and the time is 8:50.